7 events over 3 days. Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of the CrossFit Games Update Show. I'm Sean Woodland with Tommy Marquez and Pat Sherwood, and we now know every event that will comprise the 2016 CrossFit Regional Competitions, and we are definitely setting ourselves up for a pretty exciting finish.
Shy of bringing a swimming pool or something, I don't think we're leaving any stone unturned, and yeah, this is going to separate good from great, I would say.
Yeah. And I think we always do a great job every year providing some events on the final day that really create some separation on the leaderboard and kind of jumble things up a little bit to make the race to get to the games very exciting.
Yesterday we showed you the hints that Dave Castro dropped as far as the workouts are concerned on the final day, and here's what he had. He had some chicken scratch on a whiteboard. I think that word says chipper, and then he had some descending numbers, and then for event 7 he just had the word invitational written. Well, here's exactly what event 6 and event 7 are. We'll start with event 6. The weight on the barbell for the men, 225. On the women, it's 155. Have some assault bike in there, handstand walking, overhead squats, rowing, burpee box jump overs, and then we end with overhead squats. And then finally, event 7, this was the invitational event, the very first one from last year in Madrid. It's 2159 of thrusters, 9565, and then legless rope climbs thrown in there as well. So we are not making it easy on the athletes on the final day.
Where are the triple unders? Wasn't that the big, the trap everyone fell into, just mad numbers of triple unders? But we finally got our chipper. You knew it had to happen eventually, and it did, but you usually don't see a 225-pound or a 155 overhead squat in a chipper, so yeah, that's quite something.
And then on the final event, you throw in some legless rope climbs in a sprint environment. Talk about a way to close out what should be an exciting weekend.
Let's get to event 6 first. And again, the weight on the barbell for the men is 225 pounds. For the women, it's 155 pounds. They start with 1,000 meters on the assault bike. Then it's a 100-foot handstand walk. That's broken up into 10-foot increments, 10 overhead squats, then a 500-meter row. Then it's 50 burpee box jump over, so you cannot touch the top of the box. For the men, the box height is 12 inches for the first 40, then 24 inches for the final 10. For the women, it's 6 inches for the first 40, then 12 inches for the final 10. And then we're just going to close that out with 5 overhead squats. Pat, you mentioned this before, but to me, right off the bat, it's the weight on the barbell in this event.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. There's a bunch of stuff in there that is generally displeasing, but the overhead squats would grab my undivided attention. That chipper from start to finish, it's just going to just beat your legs down, and just tucked in the middle and tucked in at the very end is 225 pounds and 155 for the women. Some good numbers. You know, these athletes have already snatched early on. Then they used their shoulders on event 2 with Nate. I mean, they're going to be fatigued, and I think what this will prove is shocking on paper, but just how many athletes move through this rather well, and just how each year they get better and better.
Those overhead squats remind me of the final few in thick and quick from the games in 2014, but I think the key is twofold. I think for a lot of the big name athletes we're used to seeing at the top of the leaderboard at the games, it's really going to be about how fast they can push the pace on those burpee over the box jumps, where you have to clear the box entirely, and really just being able to focus on recovery and be quick through those, because they'll handle the barbell. Everyone else, they'll have that 225 barbell circle.
But those warm up the legs for that last barbell.
And when we learned about this earlier, Pat actually demonstrated some of the movements to try to get an idea as to what the time would be on this. So as far as the top athletes are concerned, what are we looking at as far as times?
Well, you know, I think when I mimic the movement in a set of
jeans
very
close.
With no barbell, it's pretty much ironclad.
Virtuosity.
So I think what we came up with was, correct me if I'm wrong, that sub 10 was possible, but probably not likely. And the likely range was
like 10 to 12.
10 to 12 minutes. That's where I think, people are going to fall.
Yeah. And there could be one person that this just hit their wheelhouse, and we might see something sub 10, maybe in the high 8s if no rest.
I love these aggressive times you're throwing out.
But then again, most people should be happy at 10 to 12 minutes.
Yeah, we put together a list of the usual suspects who we are pretty sure are going to do well at this event. Ben Smith, Scott Panchik. On the women's side, you got the daughters, Camila Blanc-Bassinet. But as far as people who might not be on this list, who we might not think about right off the bat, who are a couple names that we are going to want to watch for this event?
I had fun with this one. So here are the ones I'm going to throw out to keep your eye on. For men, I'm going to say Sam Dancer. This is somebody I didn't give enough credit to last year. He impressed me. I think he could do well here. And then Spencer Hendel, another big man. As long as he gets through the burpees, he'll beat up the barbell. On the ladies' side of the house, Danny Horan back in action this year. Can't wait to see her on this event. And then over in Europe, Kristen Holt.
Yeah.
For me, it's Alex Vigneault. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people once again this year after having an impressive rookie season. He finished the long chipper last year. I think he's going to shine here. And then 2 women, Anna Tunnicliffe, Alex Parker, for the same reason. I know they have the gas tank to get through it, but how do they handle the 155 overhead squats?
Well, that's the chipper, and we close out with a sprint. And again, it's the first event from the Invitational last year that took place in Madrid. It's 21:59 of thrusters at 95 pounds for the men, 65 pounds for the women, and then 3-2-1 of legless rope climbs. So we have ended with the sprint the past couple of years, and this one, even though those legless rope climbs might slow some people down, this is going to go fast.
And there's a couple good things about this event is, first of all, thrusters just epitomize CrossFit. If you have to choose one movement that is quintessential, I mean, come on, the barbell thruster. And while we played with Nate, which was a variation of a benchmark workout, this workout, Event 7, while it's not a named workout, we have seen it literally before at the Invitational, so all the athletes can go watch that footage and get a really good idea of what's possible.
And I love the framing of this workout in terms of where it lands in the weekend. All about red line, all about pushing the pace at the end. If you think about it, this is going to be the workout that's going to determine who goes to the CrossFit Games when everybody's fighting for those top 5 spots at the end. And really, you're going to see athletes coming into that final round of 9 thrusters and 1 rope climb, kind of touching that red line area, and they're going to have to pull down the thrusters, sprint to the rope, and sprint to a finish, and it's going to be spectacular.
Pat, you mentioned that we have seen this before, so we went back and watched what Rich Froning did at the Invitational, and as far as the top time goes, if people are turning that in, if you blink, you're going to miss this thing.
Yeah, and Froning from the Invitational is the perfect one to watch because he's great at both the movements. He's relatively fit overall. He was in a competitive setting, so feeling the adrenaline. And what we don't know about how this will be at regionals is the run to and from the bar, the rolling, is it going to be exactly the same as Invitationals? Probably not. But in that setting, he did it in approximately 2 minutes and 39 seconds, so this is a fast one.
Is absolutely cooking. Yeah. It's like you said, you blink, you miss it.
Yeah, we went again and talked about names that we thought would do well at this, and here are the ones that we all agreed are going to smash Event 7 on the men's side. Easy Muhammad, great at legless rope climbs. Josh Bridges and Dan Bailey. Women's side, Samantha Briggs, Camila Blanc-Bazinet is there again as well, as is Anna Tunnicliffe. But let's talk off the list and some dark horses here. Names that you wouldn't be shocked do well at this.
For me, it's all about redemption in Event 7. And for the men, it's Brent Fikowski, the guy who's come up short on Event 7 the last 2 years. I think he's absolutely going to destroy this workout. He'll handle the thrusters. He'll get up those ropes quick. Hopefully punch his ticket to Carson. Yeah. Then we have Christy Adkins on the women's side. She missed the games last year. She's experienced legless rope climbs. She did well at the games in 2014 as well. I think she's just going to go bonkers on this workout.
Got a couple names for you. So on the women's side, I think Jamie Hagia. She's been close. I think she'll excel here. And then also Reagan Huckabee up in the Pacific Northwest. I think this bodes very well for her. For men, I mentioned him on a previous show. I think Graham Holmberg is going to do very well in this event. And then also Jordan Troyon.
Okay.
Yep, I think he's going to be one of the names we're chatting about.
We have 7 events over 5 days. Which is the one that you're looking forward to seeing the most?
Oh man, what do you like?
I like the sprints, especially in these environments when we really get to see these athletes just push the throttle. Event 3 and 4, I'm going to nickname that one the Mossberg because it's like a pump action shotgun. You blast it once, a quick reload, and you blast it again. I'm used to doing workouts programmed by this guy where you have to work out, recover, work out again, and just knowing how much that hurts, I'm excited to see our top athletes do that.
Man, there's so many things that grab my attention, but I think I have to go with event number 2 just because think of the other 6 events, I can kind of wrap my head around what I think is going to happen. But that twisted version of Strict Nate, it really has me mystified, so I just want to see what's possible.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast to watch. Those are all 7 events for the regional competition as far as the individuals are concerned. The team events will get released tomorrow. We'll be back with you then to start breaking those down. Remember, tickets are still on sale for all the regional competitions. Go to games.crossfit.com for those. For Pat and Tommy, I'm Sean. May the 4th be with you, and we will see you tomorrow.